The next episode, Siren, starts off with Chloe stealing information from Lex, but is stopped by a new hero working for Lex. This is Dinah Lance, aka the Black Canary. Chloe was saved by the return of Oliver Queen, but his arrows were shattered by Dinah. Lana and Clark have an awkward moment.
Well, I'm off.
Okay.
Dinah works for the Daily Planet and tells Lois that Oliver is back in town. Lex instructs Dinah to bring her the Green Arrow for an awesome paycheck. Clark makes excuses of he doesn't want to be in the house due to the fact that Pizarro lived in his life for months. But Clark can't really express how he feels. He noticed Chloe's injury and finds out that she has been working for Oliver. Clark goes to see Oliver and has a pleasant reunion.
You put Chloe in danger.
So I take it we're skipping over the whole, hello, good to see you again part of the conversation.
If you and your crew want to go out there and put your own lives on the line, that's fine. Go ahead. But not Chloe.
First of all, I don't think our leather fetish mystery woman was trying to kill Chloe.
She shouldn't have been in danger at all.
Secondly, Chloe's in danger like every other week with you by her side, Clark.
You're the one who goes into things without giving it a second thought. Why don't you try to think about someone other than yourself for once?
I'm selfish? You know, some of us sacrifice being with the people that we really care about so that we can go make a difference. What do? You sit around in domestic bliss curled up on a couch while a world of trouble spins outside your door.
Damn. Same old Oliver. Clark wants to find out who the woman is. Lionel visits Lana and wants her to find out how Lex killed Grant. He also threatens Lana to tell Clark of the woman that died in her care several episodes ago. Clark comes to visit Lana to find out more about Dinah. Lana didn't have anything from the archive footage. The two didn't have a charged conversation.
She was catatonic after Brainiac infected her.
What do you mean, treating?
Monitoring her. Until she passed away.
She passed away.
There wasn't anything else we could do. Her mind was already gone. We were just looking for clues.
Who's we? You told the Phantom this? Lana, why do you bother telling me now?
Lionel's holding it over my head.
I can't do this, Lana. You're only honest with me when you're threatened. A few weeks with him...
Look, I don't know what else to say to you. I thought that he was you.
You're supposed to know me better than anyone.
And that's why you're here with me right now.
But it was easier with him, wasn't it?
Yes. It was easier, Clark. He was more affectionate. He was more understanding. Is that really what you want to hear? I can't even look at you without you taking it the wrong way.
Because you're looking at me like you wished I was someone else.
Every transgression that I have made, you have answered with a hypocritical judgment. No one can live up to your self-righteous standards. Do you have any idea how it feels to wake up every morning knowing that you're going to fail in the eyes of the only person you ever really loved?
And you're the one who fell in love with Lex. And then fell for that killer. I don't think it's me you can't face.
Damn. I don't know which heated conversation was worse. This or the one when they were talking about not having sex. Anyway, Lois finally visits Oliver, which he had planned on along. He said that he misses her and the two were about to get it on until they were both attacked by Dinah. Oliver was knocked out, and before Lois was knocked out, she finds out that Oliver is the Green Arrow. Lana visits Lionel and says that she's not going to go look into Grant's murder, and she already told Clark of the woman that died in her care. From here on out, Clark would know everything. While tied up, Lois aired out her frustration with Oliver being the Green Arrow.
In all those nights together, somewhere between brushing teeth and spooning in the sheets, you didn't think that it might be a good time to mention that you prowl the streets with green leather and a compound bow?
I don't usually bring the compound bow.
So now he's a funny hero. I can't believe you didn't tell me you were Green Arrow.
Hard to imagine why when you're taking it so well.
Oh, do you think the lacerating ropes and platinum fembot might have something to do with my lack of empathy? So what? Little Ollie got bored with dodgeball and and decided to play William Tell? Whoa, wait a second. I kissed Green Arrow last year when you were standing there with me in the alley.
Yeah, I remember that with precise detail.
I can't believe you. You who are supposedly my boyfriend arranged for me to be lip-locked with some wannabe hero.
Lois!
How do you put up with that?
Damn, Lois. You know this wasn't the time to be airing out your relationship problems. Matter of fact, damn, didn't you just break up with Grant? Anyway, Dinah gets ready to take Oliver to Lex, but he tries to tell her the truth and work out a deal. Clark and Chloe find out that Dinah is working for Lex at the Daily Planet. They both find out that she was getting money transferred from Lex. Chloe stops it in time so that Dinah will show herself. Clark confronts Dinah, but he is attacked by her, making him bleed from his ear due to her sonic scream. Later, Dinah visits Lex and confronts him about the truth. As she learns the truth, her and Oliver fight Lex. This was a pretty impressive fight, given that Lex's evolution to villainy. Clark comes and saves Dinah and Oliver from Lex's bullet, and they all get away. Later on, Lois breaks up with Oliver permanently. More on that later. Oliver didn't recruit Dinah to the team. So, like last time, Oliver and Dinah will return. Clark admits to doing a number of things with his powers to Lana, revealing that he's not perfect. We finally see Kara in the next episode, Fracture. Lex finds Kara in Detroit while Lois follows. For over a month, Kara has no memory of who she is and goes by the name Linda. As she is drawn to Lex, she is then kidnapped by a psycho busboy along with Lois, saying that he's protecting her. As Lex and the guy face off, Lex is shot in his fragile head and is presumed dead. Luckily, they managed to bring him back all the way to Smallville from Detroit. Clark figures out Lex's latest deception, and he needs to plan to find Kara and Lois. Chloe suggests using her powers to save Lex, but Clark is against it. Lana finds a project that Lionel shut down that you can enter a person's mind, but a lot of people die from the procedure. Clark volunteers and goes inside Lex's mind. He finds Lex, Kara, and Lois, but is confronted by Lex's evil side. However, Clark is saved by the good part of Lex, Alexander. It is revealed that if Clark goes in too deep, he will never get out. So his point of exit is a red door. One of the memories of Lex was a secret being kept called Veritas, which Lillian, Lex's mother, wanted to know more about, but Lana tells her to stay out of his business. The evil Lex shows Clark a very petty view of his time being married to Lana. Clark finds Kara and Lois, but can't escape being too deep in Lex's mind and went back to save Alexander. Chloe comes in and uses her powers to completely heal Lex. Clark wakes up and heads to Detroit. He saved Lois and Kara in time. Lionel lies to Lex that the serum Oliver used in the episode Rage was salvaged to save Lex once again. Lionel tells Lex that he loves him. However, Lex says nothing and leaves, meaning it's too little, too late. Later on, Clark fills Chloe in that she was out for 18 hours. Clark doesn't want her to do it again, but she wants to use it to help people. Clark goes to confront Lex of why he didn't call him about Kara. He also tells Lex that it's still good inside him and that something that's lost can be found again. Kara meets with Lex and says that Clark may be keeping something from her. Lex says that with a treatment, they can find out the truth once and for all. Wow. Well, that isn't sinister at all. Also, does this sound familiar? More on this in a while. One of the last filler episodes of the season, Hero, has the return of Pete, and he gets a temporary meteor power to stretch like Mr. Fantastic. I really could not enjoy this reunion with Pete and Clark because Pete was just being an asshole this entire episode to Clark. Anyway, Lex exploits this to get Pete to steal something from Lionel, or he will hurt Chloe. What Pete stole was Kara's bracelet. Clark finds this out and wants to talk to Lionel later. He stops Pete from killing Lex, and him and Pete reconcile. Even though Clark wants to tell Kara the truth, he withholds it for the time being. However, it was too late. Kara's distrust for Clark reached to the point to where she will move in with Lex. Lex also digs more into the group called Veritas, leading into the next episode, Traveler. As Clark gets ready to go to the fortress to restore Kara's memory, he is then attacked and captured by soldiers armed with kryptonite weapons. Clark is knocked out and he wakes up later in a kryptonite cage and is tortured by the head soldier. It is revealed that Lionel was the one who set this up to keep the late Virgil Swan's daughter, Patricia, away from Clark. Patricia exposits that the four powerful families, the T's, the Luthers, the Queens, and the Swans, all gathered to prepare for the Traveler, a visitor from the stars. Patricia uses Lex to blackmail Lionel into making a deal to give up the Traveler, aka Clark. Lana and Chloe find the destruction, and it led right to Lionel. They both figure out that Clark is held in an abandoned facility, so they needed Kara. Meanwhile, Lex proposes a surgery to get Kara's memory back. To take precaution, he instructed to lock down the mansion down just in case Kara's memory is restored. Lana and Chloe uses the underground tunnels to get into the mansion to get Kara. Chloe takes Kara to the fortress and uses Zo-rel's help to restore Kara's memories. Meanwhile, at the facility, Patricia sees Clark but is knocked out unconscious by the soldier. Lana wants Clark to be released, but the soldier has other plans. Kara shows up and saves Clark. Lionel ends up killing the soldier. Clark is visited by Patricia, and she tells him that Lionel had Dr. Swan and the Queens killed. Patricia wants to be there for Clark and moves to Metropolis. However, it was short-lived when she was shot dead. It has been revealed that Lex was the one who gave the order to kill Patricia. Clark then confronts Lionel.
Clark, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to be locked in that cell, but it was the only way I could be sure you were safe.
Safe from what?
I got these letters. You see, they threatened to kidnap you, to take you away. I didn't know who was sending them until I met with Patricia Swan, but I had no idea how many people were involved or how much they knew or what they intended to do with you.
Why didn't you just tell me there was danger? Let me make my own decision.
If I'd told you, you would have rushed out to search for your enemies. I couldn't take that chance that you might get hurt.
So instead, you shoot me with kryptonite tasers. You trap me in a kryptonite cell. Why would you even build that thing?
Clark, you're not the only Kryptonian who's come here. Your fellow travelers are violent, extremely violent. I built that cell for them.
Then why imprison me?
Clark, son,
You're not my father. I spoke to Patricia. She told me about the Veritas murders.
the truth can be very easily manipulated.
You would know that better than anyone, Lionel. You've been doing it for years.
I'm different now. I'm a different man.
No, you're not.
The next episode, Veritas, begins with Kara being visited by Brainiac and wants her to restore Krypton. Clark interrupts this and tosses Brainiac outside. He laughs and said that if it was done his way, no one would have got hurt, and flies off into the sky. Meanwhile, Lex continues to uncover the truth about Veritas. He has a flashback memory while playing hide and seek. He stumbles across a meeting with the Veritas group. They give a bolt ton of exposition that all their families protected the secret of the Traveler for generations. They also have an envelope with instructions on how to control the Traveler in case the Traveler would ever to pose a threat. Of course, Lionel wants to open the envelope. However, the others object. One of the members, Robert Queen, took a key and locks it in a bank in Zurich. Lex has one of those keys, also due to him getting Patricia's locket from the previous episode. Clark and Kara need a plan on how to defeat Brainiac. Kara suggests that Clark needs to learn how to fly, but the lesson didn't go so well. Lois and Jimmy interrogated Lionel about the murder of Patricia, but as usual, they didn't get anything. He then takes out a similar key that Lexus has. At the ISIS Foundation, Lana is attacked by Brainiac and is put into a canatotic state. With some digging from Chloe, they are able to track Brainiac's energy surge at the ISIS Foundation. Clark hurries over and finds a panicked Lionel. He tries to tell Clark on how he kept Clark's secret longer than he knows. He tries to give Clark the other key, but Clark doesn't want anything to do with Lionel and zips away back to the farm and finds Lana burning her hand on a coffee pot with no emotion at all. Lionel, being controlled by Brainiac, writes a message to bring Kara to the Daily Planet. Lex finds out that in order to open the safety deposit box in Zurich, it requires 2 keys. Lex has another flashback and finds out that Lionel has a key. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Lois go to the ISIS Foundation and finds an envelope that Lionel left, proving that Lex was the one that had Patricia killed. At the Daily Planet, Kara volunteers to give herself up to save Lana and flies off of Brainiac, leaving through a wormhole. Lionel tried to convince Chloe to listen to him, but to no avail. Clark has Lana admitted due to her condition not changing. Lana only uttered a few words. "You're too late, Kal-El." The next episode, Descent, picks up where the previous episode left off. Les confronts Lionel about the day of the meteor shower. He wants to know who the Traveler is. Lionel tried to sway Lex, but it didn't work. Lex needs the other key so he can obtain the secret. He takes the key from Lionel and throws Lionel out the window, killing him. Clark and Chloe tried to look for Kara and Brainiac, but nothing turned up. They get distracted by the death of Lionel. Lex conveniently comes up with a lie on the spot to account the circumstances of Lionel's death, ruling as a suicide. He sees Clark and he knows Lex may have something to do with Lionel's death without saying anything. Also, Lex sees his younger self scolding Lex for killing Lionel. Meanwhile, his assistant, Gina, figures out that Lex killed Lionel, but sympathizes with him. However, Lex reveals that the lock has no key and figures Lionel must have given it to someone. Clark goes to lose the court and finds a box with the Kryptonian symbol on it, saying, "For Kyle in the event of my death."
In my lifetime, I've known many famous and powerful men, presidents, sultans, kings, and I believed that I was superior to them all. But I've come to know the truth, Kal-El. My greatest accomplishment is that I have dedicated myself to protecting your life and serving you. For that, I am grateful. But if you are reading this, it means that I cannot protect you any longer from a terrible truth. 2 lockets exist. 2. Each one has its own key. These keys used together unlock the secret of controlling you. You must find the keys, Kal-El, or your destiny will fall into the hands of another man. You must save yourself.
Jimmy figures out that Lionel may have been pushed due to him sharpening the photo he had taken. So to enhance the photo, he needs to meet Chloe at the ISIS Foundation. Chloe unknowingly finds the key that Lionel had. Lex comes and finds the key and fires Chloe. As Chloe leaves her things behind, Gina intercepts a text message from Jimmy saying that Lionel may have not committed suicide, but murdered. Gina then holds Jimmy and Lois at gunpoint and locks them in a freezer. Clark fills Chloe in on the 2 keys, and she informs Clark on what happened with Lex. Clark goes to the mansion and has a charged conversation with Lex.
Lionel would never take his own life. I thought you'd at least try to offer some words of comfort. Get out. I'm not going anywhere.
You can still be good, Lex. Tell Clark what you did. He's our friend.
I'm not going to debate my father's mental state with you. I'm grieving, Clark. I think you know what it's like to lose a father. Don't bring my father into this. Why not? Our fathers were a lot alike. Smart, strong-willed, and both died prematurely. You know, you're right, Lex. Lionel did die too soon. I want to know the truth about how he died. The truth is, our dads were alike in another way. See, they both felt that you were the kind of son a father could be proud of. They would have felt the same way about you, Lex. If you would have tried, what happened to you? I did try, Clark. In fact, when we first met, you inspired me. All I wanted was to be your friend, but you turned your back on me. So you're the person you are today because of me. I tried to be your friend, Lex. But all you care about is power and control. This is Smallville! Meteor freaks, alien ships, cryptic symbols. These threats are real. Someone had to take control. Someone has to protect the world. Listen to yourself, Lex. You're so caught up in your own delusions, you've lost track of reality. Have I? Then let's talk about something you can't deny. After years of pleading with my father to show me some compassion, he turned to you with open arms. Now, what would a worldly billionaire have in common with a simple farm boy? Maybe he just knew he could trust me. Of course. Everyone can trust Clark Kent. You're the perfect son. So why did Jonathan Kent always seem so stressed? I mean, was raising the perfect son really that much work? I wonder how much of a strain it put on his heart. Are you blaming me for my father's death? Are you?
Wait a minute. Have you blamed yourself on one or more occasions?
You're the guilty one, Lex, not me. And this time you're gonna own up to what you've done. I know you killed Lionel. Who's delusional now? I have proof.
Anyway, back at ISIS, Chloe enhances the photo and proves that it was Lex was the one that killed Lionel. But she was knocked out by Gina. Gina then destroys the photo and hides out before Clark shows up. Clark says that he searched the mansion for the key with no luck. Chloe warns that if Lex gets those keys, he will not only know Clark's secret, but have complete control over Clark. Gina overhears this and informs Lex that she knows who the Traveler is through voicemail.
See, now that's some bullshit.
I don't know why she didn't reveal the truth right there, but the season needed to keep going, I guess. Clark and Chloe figured out if the one who destroyed the photo knew where to come, then Lois and Jimmy were in trouble. Clark goes over to the planet and saved them both by using a unique technique from his heat vision. Lex, inner child, pleads with him again, and Lex responds.
I'm done listening to you. You make me weak.
Later, Clark feels that Lionel deserved better. Clark now blames himself for Lionel's death. Chloe reassures him that Lionel and Jonathan gave up their lives, not just for Clark, but for the whole world. Clark vows that Lex would not get away with what he's done. The episode ends with Lionel's funeral, with no one out there but Lex and Clark. No words exchanged, just a stare off between the two, realizing that the people that they once were, that were best friends once upon a time, are no more. The final filler episode, Sleeper, has Jimmy forced by the Department of Domestic Security to spy on Chloe because she may be a potential terrorist. Chloe gets wind of this and manages to sway Jimmy off of what she's been really doing. Jimmy managed to get them off of the government's radar by calling in a favor from Lex. Meanwhile, on the story side of things, Chloe manages to use the government satellite to track down Brainiac and Kara's trajectory. What the little story elements this episode has deals with Lex and Clark. Clark starts to review Richard Swan's journal of Zo-rel's transmissions from Krypton, but there was one that he saw that he didn't recognize. One says, "Save Lana." Clark goes to the fortress and gets a distorted transmission from Kara, from Krypton of all places. What he could make out before the location reveal was that Brainiac is set to kill Clark. Lex makes it to Zurich and was almost killed of the endgame of the Secrets of Veritas. Chloe also reveals to Clark that the wormhole that Brainiac and Kara went through was maybe an interdimensional time gate to where is that they went back in time to Krypton the day it exploded, which will lead into the next episode, Apocalypse. Clark reveals to Chloe that the fortress has abilities that can send Clark back in time. Wait, didn't Zo-rel said a few seasons ago that there was only one crystal capable of doing that? Or was Zo-rel just lying and has many time traveling abilities? And he just won't tell Clark due to him mind keeping using that said ability to have over dozens of do-overs whenever something doesn't go Clark's way. Anyway, Clark doesn't want to go back because he figured that things will be better without him existing. Damn. Talk about suicidal thoughts. As Chloe pleads with him, the key goes off. Clark wakes up in the barn and was greeted by a kid named Clark Kent. Wow. This would have been the child that Martha lost, huh? Let's move on. Clark finds out that he is in a world where he doesn't exist. So far, everyone he knows, including Lana, was okay. That was until he met Lois. She's the top reporter at the Daily Planet and got herself in trouble with the government. It's also revealed that Kara works for the government and was the one that arrested Lois. It's revealed that in this world, Lex is the president. Clark meets with Lois' informant, Agent Adams. Oh nice, they brought back the sheriff one more time. Anyway, she tells Clark on where to find Lois, and he saves her. Lois fills Clark in on the false attack from the foreign countries, and Lex wants to commit a nuclear war. Clark finds out that Brainiac is behind this and sneaks into Lex's press conference. Clark then finds Kara, and they briefly fight until Clark revealed that Milton Fine is Brainiac. The two both tried to warn Lex, but he already knew this and shoots both Clark and Kara with kryptonite bullets. Brainiac restrains Kara and removes Lex from the room to reveal his plan to Clark for Kara to release Zod and have Lex become his vessel. So Zod and Kara will repopulate the planet after the nukes destroy the world. Brainiac then shoots Clark, but it was a vision put into Clark's from Zo-rel, which snapped Clark back into reality and goes to Krypton. Clark finds both Kara and Brainiac fighting. Once Brainiac was subdued, Clark grabs his baby self and sets him on the ship. With Brainiac seemingly destroyed, Clark and Kara escape before Krypton exploded. Sometime after, Kara proposes that they go back in time to stop Krypton from exploding, but Clark votes against it. Lex meets with Clark to talk about Lana's condition, meaning that Lana's condition has not changed. In fact, her condition has gotten worse. Lex asks Clark on how this happened, and instead of bending the truth a little bit, he says nothing. The episode ends in the middle of the night as Kara falls to the floor in real pain. The penultimate episode of the season, Quest, has Lex attacked by the same guy from Zurich 2 episodes ago. After the two fight, Lex is then stabbed on the side and he fainted.
Some pussy ass, sissy fat.
Anyway, they attack their cars and a Kryptonian symbol on Lex's chest as a warning. Jimmy gets the photos of this and shows Chloe and then passes it on to Clark. Lex gets out of the hospital and saves the watch and Tink guy he recruited to learn the secret of Veritas. Clark puts the symbols together, which separately reads Traveler and Savior. However, once put together, it makes out another word, Sanctuary. The clues led Clark to a church in Quebec and meets the last surviving member of Veritas, Edward Teague, the father of Jason Teague and husband of Genevieve. He devoted himself to serve Clark. However, Edward Teague figures out that Clark doesn't want his destiny. He weakens Clark with kryptonite and commits a Kryptonian ritual, carving the Kryptonian symbol Traveler on Clark's chest. This was to save the Traveler for himself and from the likes of Lex. Lex shows up in the church and fights Edward. Chloe makes it to the church and also saves Clark. As Lex was going to kill Edward, Clark stops it and gets away. Lex retrieves the cryptograph, unlocking a hidden 5-sided key in an ancient clock. Back in Smallville, Chloe feels that Clark should kill Lex so the threat of controlling Clark to prevent the future threat. But, like you think, Clark will not go down that path. Lex figures out that the last clue will be at the mansion. He finds the device hidden within the mansion and he inserts the key and holographic coordinates appear, leading into the season finale, Arctic. The episode begins with Edward Teague trying to escape, but Kara finds and interrogates him on the secret of Veritas. Edward gives up the information and Kara destroys the plane, killing Edward. At the farm, Lois gives Clark an application to the Deadly Planet, but Clark would not want to work for Lex at all. Lois understands, but she tells him to start thinking about his future. Chloe tells Clark of Edward's demise and shows Clark the audio from the plane's black box. Clark uses his super hearing and learns that Kara was responsible for the plane crash. Clark confronts Kara, but she stands firm, feeling that she is doing the right thing to protect Clark. Clark believes that something is wrong with Kara. As he tried to stop her from leaving, it doesn't go well. Lex finally uses Jimmy to throw Lois off his trail of his illegal activities. Jimmy does the job. However, Lex wants daily reports of Lois' activities. Jimmy doesn't want to work for Lex anymore and stands up for himself, and Lex understands. Kara comes to the mansion to reveal her identity to Lex, and she wants to take down the Traveler. She also guides Lex on who the Traveler is. Clark calls Chloe armed with kryptonite to subdue Kara. Chloe begins to plan, but the kryptonite doesn't work. Gee, I wonder why.
Oh, God.
I'm impressed. I wouldn't have thought a member of your weak-willed species, especially a friend of Kal-El's, could ever use kryptonite against his cousin. I remember you. Always sticking your pretty little head where it doesn't belong.
Brainiac lobotomized Chloe, but not without receiving damage himself due to Chloe's power. Clark finds Chloe at the hospital and discovers Brainiac's survival. Damaged, Brainiac goes to the power plant to recharge. Clark finds him with his worst fear confirmed. Kara never made it back from Krypton. Brainiac won't free Lana or Chloe unless Clark kills him in cold blood. Clark was not swayed because Brainiac is a machine, and before he destroys him, it is revealed that he will never see Kara again. It is also revealed that Clark's destiny will soon be in the hands of someone else. With Brainiac destroyed, Chloe and Lana are freed. Kara's fate was revealed as she was put in the Phantom Zone. Clark goes to see Lana, but was giving a DVD.
I was going to wait to talk to you in person. But I knew that if I looked into your eyes, I'd never be able to say. We thought that we were meant to be together, Clark. But The truth is, we were fooling ourselves. I need you. But the world needs you more. And as long as I'm in your life, I am holding you back. Please, don't come after me.
And I'm paralyzed. I'm paralyzed.
I love you.
'Cause you're perfect.
More than you will ever know.
As Clark cries, Lois comes in and comforts him. Jimmy proposes to Chloe but was arrested by the Department of Domestic Security. Jimmy informs Clark and figures out where Lex went. Lex finally finds the fortress, and it was a nice parallel to whereas when Clark discovered the fortress for the first time. Clark shows up when we finally get the real conversation on Lex finding out Clark's secret.
Must admit, Clark, this is a big step up from the barn.
Is that what you think, Lex? You don't understand.
For the first time, I think I do. You see, you live among us as a mild-mannered farm boy. Secretly, you're a strange visitor from another planet, plotting our demise.
It's not what I'm doing at all.
It's a brilliant disguise, Clark. You don't even need a mask.
I'm not your enemy, Lex. I've never done anything to hurt you.
You didn't trust me. With everything you had, with everything you could do, did you ever think about what we could have accomplished together? I would have helped you become a hero.
Have you ever thought of anyone but yourself?
Right now, I'm doing this for the world. I have to protect the human race.
This is my life. You have no right to control it.
It's my birthright! After all my sacrifices, after all the pain, I finally understand. I was being prepared for a much greater destiny. Everything led me to this moment.
And we're both here. We're in that moment. And what happens next is your choice. But no one is controlling you, Lex. No one is forcing you to do this.
Who am I to turn my back on my fellow man? Especially after you turned your back on me. I'm sorry, Clark. But you are the traveler. You hold the future of the entire planet in your hands. I'm here to take it back.
Lex.
You'll never threaten the world again. Kal-El.
Lex, don't!
The season ends with the fortress being destroyed and the ice collapsing on both Clark and Lex. Season 7 was a bit of a low point of the series due to the writer's strike. Once everything picked back up, the story arcs were all over the place. We had the arc of Bizarro, Kara, Zo-rel, and to close it off with the Veritas arc. I thought it was intriguing when I first watched it, but now, in retrospect, it was cringe to me. I feel like the only time everything would have been cohesive, in my opinion, when Brainiac mentioned things about Veritas, because I did not think Brainiac knew anything about Veritas until the end. But overall, the season suffered due to the writer's strike. I hate how that happens. I understand the fair wage bit, but it could have waited. But hey, if that would have happened, season 8 would have suffered, or the 9th, or the 10th. I'm just glad that the show only suffered one writer's strike. This season had a tie-in titled Kara and the Chronicles of Krypton. The story follows Kara as the city of Kandor is being attacked by Zod. Also, her father is working with Zod as well to fulfill some prophecy from the Book of Ra. The Book of Ra. It's pretty cool. But I'm pretty sure that won't ever come back up again in the series. Anyway, once Zod was defeated, Krypton's destruction was imminent. Kara learned of her father's transgressions, but her memory had been erased of the events right before her and Clark escaped Krypton before it exploded. This was an okay addition to the lore, but that animation was mediocre. It looks like one of those straight-to-DVD sequels, like those open season movies. but worse. Now, let's get into the characters. Lois is getting better at her profession as a top news reporter. She is making herself known around the city, because if Lois is on the story, she'll more likely strike gold. And that's what scared Lex and had Jimmy throw his trail and wanted weekly reports while she's on the job. Her love life always takes a wacky turn. This time, she didn't know that she dated a clone of Lex's brother. When Grant died, I thought she would have mourned for him, but that wasn't the case. In fact, there was no follow-up at all of how it affected Lois. Grant's death, I mean. But I guess a good distraction of her finally closing the door on Oliver will be enough to get over Grant and move on. She had grown more closer to Clark, even looked out for him when it was time for Clark to think about his future. But why give him a job application to a place of employment to whereas the one person he hates the most runs the place? Weird, right? She also was there for Clark when Lana broke up with him. I mean, that's what a best friend does, will be a shoulder to cry on if need be. Because at one point, she was the one crying and Clark was the shoulder to cry on. But I'm sure nothing will come of this, right? Right? Jimmy was back and forth with his feelings for Chloe when they had broken up for real because of the misunderstanding about Kara. Then Jimmy proceeded to date Kara for a while, even with her memories erased. He was intolerant to the meteor freaks until the woman he loved revealed that she's a meteor freak herself. He vowed to keep her secret by any means, even if it means breaking a few laws or working against Chloe. He did grow a backbone and stood up to Lex. But in my humble opinion, this was the wrong time to be standing up to someone as petty as Lex. He went out of his way to get the Department of Domestic Security to arrest Chloe. So as of right now, Jimmy is in limbo of the fate of Chloe. Lana faking her death was a desperate move on her end due to what she knew what Lex was capable of last season, although she didn't hide for very long to lure Lex out to kill him herself, but could not pull the trigger, which I felt that it was eating her up when she came back to Smallville. She had her reasons on kidnapping Lionel due to her protecting Clark, but it was still a deplorable act regardless of the circumstances. How long she had planned on keeping him captive in the first place? Or did she plan for that too and hope that Clark would not believe Lionel if mentioned? She came up with the ISIS Foundation not just to help the meteor infected that was hurt by Lex, but to spy on Lex as well. Lana was really hurt by Lex to the point where she was sneaking into darkness. In the episode Blue, Laura noticed this in Lana. That darkness was shown and amplified in the episode Wrath, where she briefly had Clark's powers and almost killed Lex and Clark. She further showed this in the episode Traveler, where she thought Lex was behind Clark's kidnapping. She said with conviction that if Lex hurts Clark, she will kill him. And she said that to Lionel. It caught Lionel off guard, but I don't know why it caught him off guard, because he knew what Lana was capable of when she kidnapped him. Her relationship with Clark had restarted from season 5. I want to say like her marriage with Lex never happened, but she still felt distance from Clark even after knowing his secret. She unknowingly found solace from Bizarro, which he did everything that the real Clark wouldn't. This caused a lot of tension between the two, Clark and Lana, I mean, but they worked their way through, up until she was comatose by Brainiac, up until the end of the season. When she fully recovered, she pulled her season 1 breakup tactic, or what she did with Whitney, to Clark. She had finally realized that her being with Clark is only keeping him from fulfilling his destiny, and his destiny is more important than the relationship.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
Someone had to be mature in the relationship, and that's a damn shame that Lana had to leave and not face Clark, because she knew that she would not be able to do it if she was right in front of him. Kristen Crook left the series because her character was reaching her natural end. Also, she wanted to pursue other acting roles. But, spoiler alert, this will not be the last time we see Lana Lang. Chloe had to navigate on being a meteor freak, losing a boyfriend, being Clark's sidekick, standing in Lois's shadow, all while trying to keep her job at the Daily Planet. At first, she didn't want her powers due to what we've seen in the past seasons when someone gets a media power, but it didn't stop her from using it for the greater good. Due to the side effects, Clark recommended against it. I wonder how far her powers could have taken her. I felt like the writers were building up to it could have went beyond healing. She had to drop down to Lois's shadow once Lois started working at the Daily Planet. There's a reason for that. She had a lot of stories that could have made her career, but the greater good and some threats outweigh her career progression. So she just had to use the planet's resources to help Clark in their weekly adventures. Once she was fired by Lex, she took over the ISIS Foundation, and for the time, she felt free and her destiny is an open slate. For the season, she had her relationship with Jimmy on the back end due to the misunderstanding, and it was a kind of a hard pill to swallow to see him with Kara. Like I said, it's weird that friends in the same circle dating each other. It's weird to me, but to each his own. It didn't last long because they got back together and were engaged, but she was arrested by the Department of Domestic Security. Will she get out, or will she be forever incarcerated? Lionel, up until his death, learned there are more important things than his power and wealth. It was retconned that Lionel always knew Clark's secret due to the fact that he went out of his way to make an adoption agency that only handled Clark's. It also makes me wonder, why did he still blackmail Jonathan to get Pete's family to sell? Was it also to have excuses to be closer to Clark, since he always known? Then why in the earlier season he acted like he was trying to figure out Clark's secret? Was it due to the time and circumstances that he had to throw Clark off that he didn't know his secret, but through subtle hints back in the day? I could say that he wanted Clark to tell him on his own, but a lot of those scenes throughout the series contradicted that. Like the time he switched bodies with Clark, and once he found out Clark's abilities, he said it all makes sense now. The videotapes from when Lex knew Clark's secret back in season 3, and Lionel played the video over and over again, thinking that something else was said. Spending a fortune to flip an FBI agent, and also using Chloe to find out Clark's secret as well. It's just too many plot holes stating that Lionel always knew Clark's secret. I just won't believe it. The only time Lionel knew about Clark officially to the audience was when he became Zo-rel's emissary. Other than that, Lionel would have still been on that trail figuring out the secret of Clark Kent. Side note, you can say that he didn't know the Traveler and Clark were the same person. However, there's little evidence supporting this. So to sum it all up, it was retconned. Lionel put little effort to mend his relationship with Lex. He told Lex he finally loved him, but it was too little too late. But we will talk about that in a moment. Lionel was the last surviving member of the secret society known as Veritas. Veritas was supposed to protect and serve the Traveler. Lionel, being Lionel, just didn't want to serve and protect, but he wanted to control the Traveler as well. So to do that, he had to kill off many members of Veritas, which was Virgil Swan, allegedly, and the Queens, Oliver's parents, while Genevieve and Jason Teague died by other means. Maybe because Lionel was in prison and he did not choose to go after them unless it was never explained or why he didn't go after them or try to kill them. Edward Teague died by Kara's hands. Well, Brainiac posing as Kara, but you get it. So we know for a fact that Lionel killed Oliver's parents, the Queens, and that will be brought back up in the future. Lionel still may have been up to his oddish ways. However, I believe he long since abandoned trying to control Clark, but was warning him that someone could control him. He also did a piss poor job of doing that, trying to protect Clark. Trying to gaslight him using Clark's previous behavior to dictate the decision to kidnap him was asinine. I had a theory of how Lionel was moving towards the end. I believe that he knew that his time of living is coming to an end, that all his sins were going to come back and bite him, with Lex killing him for the secret of Veritas. It was kind of poetic justice, you know? Cliche as it is, what goes around comes back around. But the main problem is, in theory, that is, Lionel knew it was coming. This is John Glover's exit from the series, if it wasn't obvious enough. He left the show because his character's death was a key part of the show's story progression, not due to behind the scenes drama or personal decision to quit. But he will return, just as not as the way you think. Kara was a great addition to the series. However, say it with me, Kara was done dirty. How in the world could you mess things up with her like this? You had a character like Supergirl with all her powers that could continuously teach Clark of Krypton the best way she knew, straighten their family bond. However, you pair her up with Jimmy, which went nowhere, and she was abandoned by Jimmy once she lost her memory. That was real dirty and very stupid. And the arc of her losing her memory was also stupid in the middle of the season. And to be transported to Detroit randomly, why not Zo-rel just bury her in the Fortress of Solitude somewhere, while also keeping her from Clark, and he could have earned her back? I don't know. I may be reaching, but it's far better than what we got for Kara. The stuff at the beginning for her was amazing, navigating Earth life while being marooned on a foreign world. I also believe that there were many Supergirl stories practically gift wrapped to be adapted, but they chose not to. And I don't care about the writer's strike. You could have did something better than this. At the end, it was implied that Brainiac took over Kara's body, but it turns out that he put her in the Phantom Zone. We will see her again. Laura Vandervoort did an amazing job playing Kara, and I hate to say it, that the show didn't do her justice. She exited the show as a series regular, but we will see her again to get some type of resolution of her character. Brainiac was your normal villain opportunist. At his weakest state, he still had his intelligence. He used everyone around him to get what he wanted, partially until he was ultimately defeated. I did, however, felt like he had another plan, using Lex as usual to get at Clark. It's kind of odd that Brainiac didn't use this to his advantage before he used the whole Terminator plot to kill Clark as a baby. Also, if he wanted to do that, why not go back further? He could have went back and killed Laura long before she either met Zo-rel or became pregnant. My guess is that he needed Kara to give the power that he needed to go back in time. That's what I took for it. That and another excuse to bench Kara for a few episodes. Clark presumably destroyed him. However, if there's one piece of his program still out there, he will survive. At first, Lex tried to go on the straight and narrow. Everyone else was skeptical, but Lois did not believe it, not one bit. He tried to right the wrongs he did, all the media infected from 33.1, but this was all to wash his hands of it. He had gained a new obsession, which was Kara, which could be his small reboot obsession with Clark. I guess when one person won't, another person will. But instead of protecting Kara like he said he would, he used her amnesia to try to learn her secret. The whole thing about Veritas, I can say, ruined Lex's life. Imagine a father who pines for another person or child, even though they don't know who they are as of yet. It took a toll on Lex that he could no longer pay. So he started to do questionable things to learn the secrets of Veritas, which conveniently tied into Clark's secret. Even finally killing his own father. He always wanted to kill Lionel, but there were things that was keeping him busy from doing that. We get a glimpse of what could have been if Clark was ever born. It looks like his path would have remained the same, wanting to rule everyone and don't mind committing genocide to do it. He disguises that ambition with protecting the world from threats. However, he will eventually become the threat that he claimed to have fought hard against. Even though he found the secrets of Veritas, it was up to the manipulation of Brainiac to give him the final piece of the puzzle that Clark is the Traveler. Once confronted by Clark, Lex goes off saying that Clark never trusted him, that he could have helped him become a hero. So feeling that it's his duty to save the world from Kal, he sacrifices himself to presumably kill Clark. I don't know if Lex felt that he had a death wish, because I don't think he had no intention of killing himself just to save the world. I don't think that's his style, to be honest. But I have a feeling that he will survive. Michael Rosenbaum has left the series. Rosenbaum played Lex for 7 years. He felt that he had explored the character fully and didn't want to be typecast or stuck playing a villain forever. I will quote him from his actual statement. I just felt like I did everything I could with the character. I didn't want to keep playing the bad guy. End quote. He had many physical tolls throughout the series. He had to shave his head constantly for the role, which became physically and emotionally draining. In later interviews, he discovered how taxing it was to maintain Lex's intense presence and look. He wanted to try more comedy and more voice work. He did voice the Flash in the animated DC show Justice League. He also wants to write, direct, and act in new genres. I completely understand, even though he will go down as the best live action Lex Luthor, bar none. But will this be the last time that Lex will be seen or mentioned? I think not. At the beginning of the season, Clark was ready to boss up and wanted to become the hero he was meant to be, which meant leaving Smallville behind. When Kara came, the first part of his training was to watch over Kara in case she opposed a threat. Well, that was a cool first assignment at all, but he did a piss poor job and never really trusted her until the end, and that wasn't even Kara. But you would think that would not sway him from being the hero he needs to be by training at the fortress. I was sure that no one will interrupt that, right?
Some pussy ass, sissy fat.
Ugh. That's right. Once Magical Box came back into the picture, he resumed hiding out at the farm and he only leaves where there's trouble outside his doorstep and or if someone is threatening his secret. I thought it was sweet back then that he got with the girl of his dreams and she now knows his secret. Now looking back on it, Clark was being held back by Lana the entire course of the season, especially when she was comatose by Brainiac. He abandoned his search for Kara, both when she had amnesia and when she left with Brainiac. It got to the point where Lana even said that she didn't want to be the reason that Clark was staying on the farm. Oliver got in his ass plenty of times, not just be sitting there in domestic bliss on the couch. Then Lois gives him a pep talk of what he needs to do with his future. I cannot believe I co-signed this years ago. Clark really was just existing. No job, no other ambition, other than keeping his secret safe from others who would wrong him like Lex. Again, Lex and Clark did not share a lot of scenes this season, but when they did, you could see it was important. Clark also protected Chloe's secret that she is a meteor freak. There was a time to where Clark was being selfish when Chloe had the way to be normal again, even though Curtis Knox was going to kill her afterwards. But that's besides the point. Clark did not want her to forget him due to the side effects of the surgery. You know, that was petty and selfish of Clark. I'm pretty sure that he won't learn from it. He did dealt with a lot of more villains that weren't affected by kryptonite, like Curtis Knox, Bizarro, Zo-rel, and Brainiac. It really made Clark had to think outside the box, rather than just having a several-minute fight and then the day is saved. These villains really messed with Clark and made him step up. Once he destroyed Brainiac and saved Lana, she breaks up with him and was told not to come after her. He cried for a bit, which Lois was there for a shoulder to cry on, like I said, which I'm sure nothing will come of it. He didn't have time to mourn as Chloe was arrested and he learned what Lex was doing and heads to the fortress. He pleads with Lex as he stupidly puts down Lex as he was literally holding the orb in his hand. When the orb was put in the fortress, Clark gets weak. As Lex holds him, he tells Clark that he loved him like a brother, as Clark looked unconvinced when the fortress came crashing down on the both of them. There were rumors that season 7 was supposed to be the last season and the show would have ended in a TV movie, but I have no real confirmation of that. A lot of fans did not like this season, which is warranted, but you did have the account of the writer's strike. That's the only reason that the season suffered. It could have been a good season for Clark and the rest of the cast, but what's in store for them next season? Because when I tell you, and I say this over and over, I wish I could experience the next season for the first time all over again. Things like Clark finally getting off the farm, Chloe inheriting abilities from an old enemy, super fans from the future comes to help and fight with Clark to save a friend, and Krypton's ultimate destroyer will finally put Clark to the tests as we continue with Smallville Season 8. I sincerely want to apologize of why this is taking so long for this part to come out. It's just due to family problems as usual, and I had to move. And once I got settled in and fixed my hard drives or whatever, because it took me a while to figure out why my hard drives wasn't, reading or whatever. And once it got that done, I resumed my work. And this was one of the first things I thought about. And I don't even know why this was in the back of my mind, because this is my favorite passion. I know I make other videos, but these are my favorite videos to make about the show that I love very much. So I hope you enjoy part 2. And be sure to check out my other videos on other forms of media. And be sure to check out the first 6 episodes of Retrospect. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I will catch you all next time.